All right, welcome into the show, everybody. As we're watching the Nuggets kick the crap out of the Boston Celtics at Ball Arena, this is awesome. It's 93-75. The Nuggets are finally not melting down in the fourth quarter. That is great to see. In fact, the Celtics have been the ones melting down here in the second half of this game, really, but especially here in the fourth quarter. They are 1 for their last 16 shots here in the fourth quarter are the Boston Celtics. Now, they did play last night in Phoenix against the Suns. So it is the second night of a back-to-back for them, although Jaylen Brown didn't play in that game last night, and he did play tonight, so he has fresh legs. But the Nuggets just put on, I think, the best defensive performance of the season. And if you've been following along on this show all season long, I appreciate that very much. Boy, I have been very critical of the defense. It has not been good. They're the 24th ranked defensive team in the NBA. And I've been saying for months now that the Nuggets have to get better defensively if they are going to be serious title contenders. And tonight, hopefully, is a step in the right direction for the Denver Nuggets on the defensive end of the floor. I think they've been masterful defensively tonight. The Celtics have 77 points with just a couple minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. So, boy, this could be a great sort of springboard forward for the Denver Nuggets on the defensive end. And that's great to see. Really odd game tonight, just as far as the Nuggets sort of, I don't want to say their game plan on offense, just how things played out on the offensive end of the floor. They shot a ton of threes. I wrote it down here. So they took 29 3-point attempts in the first half. That is the most and a half since the 1996-97 season. Now, was that the Nuggets game plan going into this game? I don't know. I mean, I don't think so, just based on what we've seen from this team all year. But the way the Celtics were playing them, they kind of forced the Nuggets' hands to shoot a lot of these threes because they were letting them have it. Nikola Jokic took a bunch of threes in this game. Why? Because they were leaving them wide open. And clearly that was the Celtics game plan coming into the game tonight, which is a little confusing because although the Nuggets don't necessarily take a lot of threes, on average, they're one of the least, they have some of the lowest 3-point attempts per game of any teams in the NBA, but they have the highest 3-point percentage makes in the league. So very interesting game plan here defensively for the Celtics tonight. Now, I will say in the first half of this game, it was kind of working because the Nuggets couldn't hit a 3-pointer to save their life besides the miracle, almost out of bounds turnaround Serbian jump shot, Sombor shuffle, 3-point attempt from the corner right in front of the Nuggets bench. But the second half, they started to heat up a little bit more from the 3-point line. And once that happened, I mean, this game was over. So we've got 2 minutes and 34 seconds to go. The Celtics have emptied their bench. Nikola Jokic, Cam Johnson just leaving the floor. So this thing's over. It's 95-77 with 2:34 to go. So we'll just kind of watch along here. Hopefully we'll hear from David Adelman after the show. Got some positive updates on Peyton Watson and Aaron Gordon. Adelman was on our show today, Plums, Hastings, and DMAC on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. He had some, I'll share that with you. He had some positive updates, at least optimistic outlook on those two. The return is not imminent, but it did sound like David Adelman was pretty optimistic about their return sooner rather than later. As we see Teron Holmes get into the game, hits a jump shot. Good to see Teron get in there. KJ Simpson, how about that? Former Buff, he got run in the second quarter. He got run in the fourth quarter. And I got to say, I thought he played really well. I thought KJ Simpson played really well. Now, he didn't fill up the box score or the stat sheet by any means, but he looks like a competent NBA player. And the reason that KJ Simpson got so much run tonight in big moments in this game, these were not garbage time minutes. Like I said, he came in with like 5 minutes to go in the second quarter, and we saw him come in the third quarter in this game. Well, Jalen Pickett is out, and Jamal Murray, after the first quarter, went back to the locker room with an illness. So good news there. I mean, it wasn't injury related. They said on the broadcast, Jamal's been feeling sick all day, and he clearly wasn't feeling well enough to play the rest of this game, and then they ultimately ruled him out for the rest of the game. So that's why we saw a lot more KJ Simpson in the game tonight. But hey, they won the game. It was good to see. And it gets KJ Simpson some experience here with the Nuggets and gets him a little bit of playing time. As Deron Holmes just misses a three. Oh no, it bounced in. Wow. Okay, this is the Nuggets night. This is the game they desperately needed, because let's be honest, this team has been struggling specifically on the defensive end of the floor, but they've just been struggling. They've been struggling closing out games. They've been struggling in clutch time minutes. So it's really good to see them get a win against a very good Boston Celtics team. Jaylen Brown is having an unbelievable season for the Celtics. He's averaging almost 30 points a game. He's honestly probably an MVP candidate right now, and I think he should be. That's how well he is playing. So it's really good to see the Nuggets beat up on a very good Celtics team. And again, I know they're on the second night of a back-to-back, but the Nuggets have struggled at home this year. They've struggled against the Celtics at Ball Arena over the last couple of years. So really good to see this performance from the Nuggets. And hopefully this is some momentum that they can carry forward, because this is nut crunching time for the Denver Nuggets. They cannot afford to lose many more games if they want to stay in the top 4 in the Western Conference. That's how tight the West is this year, and really every year. But it seems like this year it's as tight as it has ever been for the Western Conference. The Pistons actually did beat the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight. The Pistons have the best record in the NBA. They're 43-14, and the Thunder are 45-15. But if you're looking at percentage points, the Pistons are at 754 and the Thunder are at 750. So by percentage points, the Detroit Pistons have the best record in the NBA. So, the Spurs, by the way, they've won 10 in a row. So it's going to be pretty difficult for the Nuggets to catch San Antonio. With this win tonight, they'll be 5 games back of the Spurs. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be really tough to catch San Antonio, but that's okay. I've been saying all year long, I don't care if the Nuggets fall to the 6th seed, as long as they are as healthy as they can possibly be at the end of the season, as long as it's no lower than the 6th seed, because I don't want to see them get into the play-in. For a team that's had as many injuries as they've had, I just don't want them playing extra games. But as long as they are as healthy as they possibly can get, even if they fall to the 6th seed, I still think they're one of the favorites to get out of the West, beating Oklahoma City. The Nuggets are the second favored team in the NBA right now to win the NBA championship, by the way. So as this game just ended, the Nuggets win. You know what? Let's hear from Cam Johnson. Katie is interviewing Cam. Let's go ahead and hear from Cam, who I thought had a fantastic game tonight. Here is Katie Wingy with Cam Johnson. That. Yeah, look, I Cam 11 points tonight. He wasn't a box score warrior by any means, but I will say this about Cam Johnson. Boy, I thought he was great defensively tonight. And there was a stretch in the first half of this game tonight where I thought Cam Johnson's it was the beginning of the second quarter, the first couple of minutes of that second quarter, where Cam Johnson was staggering with the second unit. He made multiple hustle plays leading to offensive rebounds and second chance points for the Denver Nuggets. That's the kind of effort that they need, not only out of Cam Johnson, but from a lot of these guys. That's one of the things that I think has been missing on this team, is those hustle plays, those effort plays, those energy plays on the offensive end specifically to get more second chance points. Too many times this year for the Nuggets, their possessions are one and done. If they miss a shot, they're not getting offensive rebounds. I thought they did a much better job of that tonight. Cam Johnson was a big part of that. I mean, Bruce Brown's a guy that can get in there and scrap for offensive rebounds. Christian Brown's also a guy that can do that. But I thought Cam Johnson really led the way as far as the hustle, energy, and effort goes on the offensive glass. So I think that really kind of got the Nuggets going in tonight's game. Look, this was a blowout by the end of this game, but in the first half, I mean, the Celtics led by 1 point at halftime. It was 48-47 Celtics lead at halftime. So it was kind of a defensive game too on both teams, which is insane because these are the top two scoring teams in all of basketball. The Nuggets are number one, the Celtics are number two in scoring in the NBA this season. So very odd game from that standpoint too. Should have been expecting a really high scoring game tonight from both of these teams, the number one and number two highest scoring teams in basketball. But we kind of got a little defensive battle, especially in the first half of this game. But boy, I will say this: this Nuggets team desperately needed a win like this and a performance like this tonight. They were reeling a little bit, and I don't want to, sound too down on this team because they're 37-22. I mean, they're doing okay. They're the 4 seed in the West right now. They're I think they're going to be tied technically with the Rockets for the 3 seed in the West, and I believe they have the tiebreaker. So I'll wait to see when the standings update. I believe they should go back into the 3 seed after tonight. But either way, I mean, they're a top 4 seed in the West with just over 20 games to go in the season. So they desperately needed this win tonight for morale, for a confidence boost against a really good Celtics team, a team that has given them troubles, especially here at Ball Arena for whatever reason. I mean, the Nuggets, if you remember, back in early January, did go into Boston after the miracle win in Philly with all of the end of the bench guys. If you remember, their next game was in Boston, and they ended up winning that game too. That's a game. I think Jamal Murray had a career high in assists in that game with 17. So they did sweep the Celtics this year, which is awesome to see. But the Nuggets, they just haven't felt right over the last month or so. And I'm talking about, like, let me put it this way. Since Nikola Jokic has been back, there's just been something off with this team. Now, when he was out and basically half their team was out, okay, that's understandable. Of course, they're going to be a little off, even though they did go 10-6 while Nikola Jokic was out. I mean, that was great to see. But ever since Joker's come back, there's just been something off with this team. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, their defense has been putrid. Okay, we cannot beat around the bush. Their defense has been awful. Their offense is outstanding. I'm not worried about the offense, but the defense has been awful. Now, I've seen a lot of people talking about this, about the Nuggets' defensive woes specifically, and if/when Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson come back, that will help the Nuggets defense significantly. And that is true. I mean, I got to say, for as good as Aaron Gordon is playing off of Nikola Jokic on the offensive end of the floor, we see him standing in the dunker spot a lot of the time, and he's so effective in that role. He is more valuable to this team on the defensive end of the floor, in my opinion, especially in big games and in playoff situations. Aaron Gordon in their championship season was one of the highest rated defenders in those playoffs. And the beauty of Aaron Gordon on the defensive end of the floor is he's their Swiss Army knife. He can guard 1 through 5. You can put him on Steph Curry, or you can put him on Kevin Durant. You can put him on LeBron. You can put him on Anthony Davis. I mean, whoever. He can guard 1 through 5, and he's an excellent defender. So, yes, the defense theoretically should improve when Aaron Gordon comes back. Same with Peyton Watson. I think Peyton Watson probably the best shot blocker on this team. I don't think he's as good defensively as Aaron Gordon as far as his ability to guard 1 through 5, but Peyton Watson's a pretty damn good defender too. So the fact that Peyton Watson is the defender he is, and then, oh, by the way, he's got his 3-ball going this year. He's shooting over 40%. He's dialed it. He's over 50% from those corner threes, which seem to be wide open when you're playing with Nikola Jokic. They just seem to leak into those corners, and Peyton Watson has been stellar from the corners this year from 3. Spencer Jones has been pretty good from the corners as well this year. But again, the offense is fine. They're going to be fine on offense. The defense is really what concerns me with this team. But I will say a performance like tonight is a really good sign. And also, one more quick note on the defense. For people that don't know, and I'm not trying to sound like smug, arrogant, I'm in the know kind of guy here, but as a fan, I didn't know this either. Sometimes you just don't know these things. During the regular season, and this goes the same for hockey too, by the way, but during the regular season, the amount of days where teams have to just practice basketball are very limited. I mean, very limited. I would say it's probably less than 10 times a season. I don't know what the exact number is, but it's not as much as you would think, to where these guys during the regular season on off days are just practicing basketball, practicing situations, practicing their defensive coverages, working on communication, all of that stuff. Well, the Nuggets just had 2 days off, and they had, for the first time in forever, a chance to practice basketball over their couple of off days. And Adelman said that on our show today. He said the ability for us to just work, and he said they worked on defense, mostly defensive coverages, communication, all of that stuff I just mentioned. That is a that is a massive thing that they were able to do. And boy, it sure looked like whatever they were working on in practice showed up tonight in a real game. So the fact that they were able to do that and then translate that onto the court against the Boston Celtics tonight was fantastic. And so hopefully that is something that can, carry this team forward for the rest of the season. And then, like I said, once you get Aaron Gordon back, hopefully, once you get Peyton Watson back, all of these things are going to be helping out the Nuggets defense. Look, they don't need to be an elite defense to win a championship. They don't. They have to be a good defense. And in the championship season, I know I've said this before, but I hammer this point home because I think it's very important. The year they won an NBA championship, they were the 5th rated offense in the NBA. Now, this is the regular season. However, they were 11th in defensive rating. So they weren't even top 10 in defensive rating the year they won a title, but they were in the top third of the league in defensive rating. And I think that's where I would say this, with how good the Nuggets offense is this year, if they can just be like middle of the pack defensively for the rest of the regular season, and then hopefully ramp that up a couple notches in the playoffs, they will have a chance to win a title. They absolutely will. So really good win tonight for the Nuggets. Awesome to see. Boy, did they need this one. I'm going to get to your comments here in just a second, but I did want to play you this clip from our show today on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Tyler did ask Adelman, and he did talk about this before the game as well. But I have the clip here from our radio station on our show today. He did talk about the optimistic view he has, hopefully, of the return of Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson. Here's the head coach.
Coach, you've sounded a little bit more optimistic, at least to me, about getting the full group back healthy at some point here. What's the latest on Aaron Gordon, Peyton Watson?
Yeah, both guys participated in practice. They didn't do contact live basketball. They're doing that with coaching staff. Some of the guys aren't in the rotation right now. And they just have to get through these, I guess you want to call them, like they have to pass certain tests for our medical people to put them back on the court. Aaron is really close. Peyton has took some really big strides the last couple of days, just seeing the confidence of him jumping off his leg. And, both those injuries they're also mental. Those guys have to get through that process as well. But it'll be really nice to get them back just so we can actually figure out what the rotation's going to look like. A lot of things happen throughout the season. Guys stepped up. Guys are going to have to be unselfish during this time, just because if we do get the full group back, somebody's going to be out of the rotation. So it'd be nice to have everybody on the court and just take a really good look at who we were. We know we were at the start of the season when all these guys were playing, and, we're very successful. So we just have to look at it, make sure we're, open-minded about what the roles are going to be, because they're going to change dramatically when we get them back. But both guys look good. I would say they're fairly close.
Okay, so You heard it there. He said they're both fairly close. That's an optimistic view. He said Aaron Gordon's really close. And then he said Peyton Watson has taken some really big strides. So good. Adelman sounds pretty optimistic about their return being sooner rather than later. And you heard Coach mention in that clip, we forget the last time the starting five, okay, that started the season, opening night in Golden State, when Aaron Gordon hit 10 threes, it was awesome. That starting five has not played together since the 10th game of the season. I mean, that is insane. Since early November. They have not played their starting five that started the season have not played together since early November. Now, when they did play, they were 8-2. And if you look at all of the metrics, the analytics, the stats in those first 10 games, the Nuggets, I believe, I'll have to go back and check this, but I know for a fact they were for sure top two. They might have been number one. But they were at least the second best rated defense in the NBA through those first 10 games. So their ability to improve the defense is there. And I'm not talking just incrementally improving it. I'm talking massively improving their defense. They do have the ability to do that with the current roster, with a healthy roster. They have the ability, at least if you look at the first 10 games of the season, to be one of the best defenses in the NBA. I mean, how scary is that? You're talking about a team that is currently the number one rated offense in the league. Well, the first 10 games of the season, they were one of the top defenses as well. So I'm not asking them to be a top two defense when these guys come back. It's going to take some time. I'm not expecting that right away. But can they ramp it up enough for the last 15 to 12 games of the season to where they're playing at a top 10, top 12 defensive level heading into the playoffs? If they can do that, they have as good a chance as anybody in the NBA to win a championship. And when you have number 15, this guy right here, and you're playing good defense, they've got a chance. So tonight was a great first step. Now, I know that they're still waiting for Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson to come back. I get it. And even when they do come back, it's going to take them some time to get their conditioning up. It's going to take some time to get that cohesiveness back with the starting five. And as much as I hate to say this, you're going to be, at least for me, I'm going to be very nervous every time Aaron Gordon jumps up on either of his legs. But, I'm trying to be optimistic here about that. Peyton Watson's a little bit younger. He hasn't had nearly as many hamstring injuries as AG has had. So I'm not as worried for Peyton Watson. But Aaron Gordon, really, it's just, you kind of just hold your breath every time he's out on the court now because you just never know. And like I said, hamstrings are a fickle beast. Those soft tissue injuries suck because they take forever to heal from, and they can get re-injured like that, as we've seen several times just this season with Aaron Gordon, not to mention him hurting his hamstring in the second round of the playoffs last year against the Oklahoma City Thunder. But optimistic point of view, if they can use the momentum from tonight's game moving forward, even without Peyton Watson and Aaron Gordon, they have a chance. And, from over the last couple of weeks, I haven't had a ton of optimism for the Nuggets' chances to win a title. And that's really what we're talking about here, right? When you've got Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, the goal should always be, every season, the goal is to win a championship. Why do you think the Nuggets have traded away most of their first-round picks over the next 5, 6, 7 seasons? Because they're trying to win now, which they should be. I mean, the Avalanche have done the same thing, which they should be. They're in a cup window. The Nuggets are in an NBA championship window. So if they can get Aaron Gordon back and he can stay healthy, same with Peyton Watson, boy, this team, I'm telling you, I don't care what seed they finish as. They're going to be a scary matchup. Can you imagine, let's just say the Nuggets fall to the 6th seed, okay? Just for the sake of the argument. I don't think that's going to happen, but just for the sake of the argument, okay? If they were to fall to the 6th seed, right now, today, they would face off against the Houston Rockets in the first round of the NBA playoffs. Do you think the Houston Rockets want to see the Denver Nuggets in the first round? Who do you think would be favored in that series? I guarantee you the Nuggets would be the favorites to win that series. No doubt in my mind. Especially if Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson are back and healthy. So look, seeding does matter to a degree, but health matters more. And that's kind of what I'm focused on with this team. I think that's what Coach Adelman is focused on. You know, by the way, he said before the game, in his ideal world, both of these guys, Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson, will be back in his ideal scenario. Okay. He's not saying this is what the plan is. In his ideal scenario, they would both be back with 20 games to go. Well, they only have 24 more games. So, you know, by that logic, let's see, they play OKC on Friday. That's the 27th. Then they play Minnesota March 1st, Utah March 2nd, the Lakers March 5th. In Adelman's ideal scenario, both of those guys would be back for a home game Friday, March 6th against the Knicks. Boy, would that be great to see. Now, look, I optimistically, that could happen. We'll see. I don't want them to rush these guys back. I don't think, you know, Katie asked Scott and Marlo on the broadcast, what's the ideal number of games that you'd think that the starting five that started the season would need to play together where you'd feel comfortable kind of knowing what they have going into the playoffs? And Scott said 12 to 15. Honestly, with how long these guys have been playing together, I would say it's probably closer to 10, at least for me. If they can get 10 games together at the end of the season, I feel like that would be enough. Now, if they can get 15, okay, great. If they can get 20, even better. But I definitely don't want them to rush these guys back to try to get the 20 games in. I mean, they need to take as long as they need. But from what we just heard from Adelman on our show today, he sounds cautiously optimistic that they're both going to be back sooner rather than later. So, hey, but it was a great win tonight. I mean, my God, did the Nuggets need this win badly. Avs won tonight. They beat Utah 4-2. Great to see. So we get double dipperoo wins for the Avs and Nuggets. Good to see the Avs get a win after coming off their 3-week Olympic break. Nate McKinnon didn't play tonight, but he'll be back tomorrow in a massive game here in Denver against the Wild. And then the Nuggets, boy, their schedule does not get any easier. Like I said, they've got OKC, Minnesota, in Utah. That's never an easy game. I know the Jazz stink, but the Nuggets have always struggled in Utah. So that's not a gimme game. Then they've got the Lakers at home, the Knicks back again in OKC, Rockets, Spurs, Lakers, 76ers. I mean, this is a tough schedule. I like that. I love that. I love that their schedule gets brutally difficult in the last 24 games of the season. I love that because that's going to force this team to be playing at their best down the stretch and hopefully into the playoffs. How many times have we seen teams with easy schedules towards the end of the year just kind of coast into the playoffs and get knocked out in the first round? I'm not saying that would be the case if the Nuggets had an easier schedule to end the season. But boy, if I could have it an easier schedule to finish out the season or a brutally difficult schedule, give me the brutally difficult schedule because that's going to callous this team up to get ready for the playoffs. And that's what it's all about. This season, until Nikola Jokic hangs it up, that's what it's about. So would love to get your thoughts. Appreciate. Got a lot of comments coming in, so appreciate that very much. Where's your confidence level with this team after the win tonight? How optimistic are you? When I'm asking this, how optimistic are you that the Nuggets have a realistic chance to win an NBA title? How optimistic are you that Peyton Watson and Aaron Gordon can come back and contribute to this team, stay healthy? Where are you at, Nuggets fans, with this basketball team? Let's see here. Markow, THJ, Tim Hardaway Jr. won the game tonight with that third quarter run. Yeah, the Nuggets went on a 15-0 run towards the end of the third quarter. It bled a little bit into the start of the fourth, but a 15-0 run in the end of the third and then a little bit into the fourth. It ended up being an extended 23-5 run, and it knocked him out. And you're right, Tim Hardaway, it was good to see him have a better performance. He's been struggling lately, so it's good to see him kind of get back on the saddle and perform well for this team. 14 points for THJ, 5 of 9. I mean, he was only 1 of 4 from 3, but that's what I loved about Hardaway's game tonight was 1 of 4 from 3. Okay, not great, but he got to the rim. He hit the mid-range jumpers. He got to the free throw line 5 times, and he contributed off the bench for this team. And really, the bench, very balanced scoring from the bench tonight. You had 5 points. Now, Deron Holmes, that was garbage time, okay. But Spencer Jones, 6 points. Jonas, 11 points. Tim Hardaway, 14. Bruce had 4. KJ Simpson had 2. But very balanced scoring from the bench tonight. Nikola Jokic finishes the game. He took 13 threes tonight, only hit 4 of them. He obviously hit the amazing three-pointer in the first quarter, like I mentioned earlier. The Sombor shuffle from the corner right in front of the Nuggets bench. Just drained it. And so he makes that, and then he misses like 5 other wide open threes. It was a interesting game from Nikola Jokic tonight, just from a shooting perspective. But Joker overall, I thought was great. 30 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. Only had 1 turnover. I love that. The only area that I criticize Nikola Jokic is he turns the ball over too damn much. But he only had 1 turnover tonight. I love that. The Nuggets only had 8 turnovers as a team. 3 of those came from Bruce Brown, who also had 5 assists. So they only had 8 turnovers tonight. The Celtics had 13. That is a fantastic number. I mean, other than the defensive woes, the other biggest issue this season for the Nuggets has been turnovers. And I would say that the amount of turnovers this team has hurts them defensively because they can't set up their defense. Adelman talked about that today on our show as well. When you turn the ball over at the rate the Nuggets have been this season, you can't get your defense set up. So when you're not turning the ball over, just that in and of itself is going to help the Nuggets defense. So that was great to see. The Nuggets scored 14 points off of the Celtics turnovers tonight. They only gave up 5 points conceded off of turnovers. That is beautiful. There's been multiple games this year where the Nuggets have given up 20 plus points conceded off of their turnovers. So the fact that they only had 8 turnovers in total tonight, Jokic only had 1 of those turnovers, and they only gave up 5 points off of those turnovers is what led to the Nuggets' demolition, especially in the second half of the Boston Celtics. So that was fantastic to see. All right, let's see here. Go through. Okay, one more comment in here. Boston was back-to-back. They were gassed. Absolutely. I mean, that fourth quarter, they were gassed. What did they end up scoring total in that fourth? They scored 17 points in the fourth, only 19 in the third. So, yeah, you're right. No doubt. They were gassed. And in the second night of a back-to-back, having that second game in Denver at altitude has been a death sentence for teams in the NBA for as long as I can remember. But the Nuggets have lost a couple of these games over the last couple of years. So that used to be a 98% win percentage for the Nuggets. And they've kind of, with their struggles at home this year, they've kind of let that advantage slip away just a little bit. But boy, they took advantage of that tonight. So no doubt about that one. Let's see here. 30 points in 33 minutes. I believe you're talking about Joker. Yeah, that's great. Good efficiency. Well, at least minutes played. He wasn't efficient shooting the basketball, but let's see here. Still a little bit rusty. Tell me who you're talking about there, Marion. I'm not sure who you're talking about, but I'd love to follow up with you on that. I would assume you're talking about Joker. Yeah, like I said, Nikola doesn't look fully healthy yet, but he's starting to look a little bit healthier each game, which is good to see. It looks like his conditioning is improved, and the thing he's missing is just what in my opinion is what his best asset is. And no, it's not his passing, although that's a great asset, but his best asset, in my opinion, is his touch around the basket. His touch from 10 or 8 feet and in is what Nikola Jokic's true superpower is. I mean, he's one of the best 10-foot and in shooters in NBA history. And that's the thing that's kind of been missing a little bit for Nikola Jokic during this stretch of him coming back post-injury. Star Child, what a great win tonight. Yeah, just great win overall, but the bigger picture of this win, I think, is really what the significance of this is and what the bigger story is. The Nuggets desperately needed a win like this tonight. So hopefully this is some momentum they can keep going forward. Let's see here. Dante, Vegas thinks Gordon will stay healthy after he returns. OKC #1, Nuggets #2. Are there actually odds on that? Like whether or not Aaron Gordon's going to get hurt again after he comes back? I would actually find that fascinating to look at. But okay, hey, Vegas is Vegas is right more than they're wrong. They don't build all those freaking buildings and casinos in Vegas for being wrong more than they're right. So that's it. That's interesting. Star Child, I'm still confident that the Nuggets will win an NBA championship this year. I'm confident they'll win an NBA championship this year if Gordon and Watson are healthy and they improve the defense. If they can do that, I think they have as good a chance as anybody. And that's kind of what I've been saying all year, and I still believe that. So, yeah, there you go. Okay, Marion did say you were talking about Jokic there. Yeah, totally. Still looks a little rusty. Like I said, the touch around the rim is what I've noticed mostly. I think his conditioning is fine, quite honestly. He looks fine conditioning wise, but the touch around the rim is an area of there where we're so used to seeing those shots be automatic for Nikola Jokic, and they just haven't been since he's come back. So that's the kind of to me, that's kind of the final step of him being fully back, is seeing that touch around the rim specifically come back to the level that it's been at for the entirety of Nikola Jokic's career. Last one here from Trevor, KJ Simpson. Yeah, that is such a cool story. Buff star KJ Simpson gets waived by the Charlotte Hornets, signed by the Nuggets. Didn't know how much he would play, if at all, with the Nuggets this season, but we saw him get into the game in garbage time against the Portland Trailblazers. And then with the injury to Jalen Pickett and Jamal Murray going out after the first quarter tonight with an illness, no injury, just illness. So that's good. He got a little run. And, I thought he had some really good minutes tonight. I would be shocked if he had any sort of significant role with this team as they start to get healthier. But boy, this is a piece that in the future, I think KJ Simpson has a really good opportunity to be the Nuggets backup point guard behind Jamal Murray over the next couple of years. I really do. And from what I've seen so far, he looks like he's a competent NBA player. Now, look, I need to see more from KJ Simpson, okay? I'm not ready to just say, hey, he's the future backup point guard. But from the limited minutes I've seen, I think he has a good chance. He looks like he's a competent NBA player. He's a hustle guy. The Nuggets front office actually talked about that as one of the reasons they were so excited to get him is his hustle and his effort. His energy level is top notch. And that's what we saw with KJ Simpson at CU. I loved KJ Simpson when he was playing here in Boulder with the Buffs. And that was the year the Buffs had 3 draft picks in the NBA draft in the same season. It was Cody Williams to the Jazz, Tristan Da Silva to the Magic, both first rounders, and then KJ Simpson was the 42nd pick in the second round to the Hornets. And if you remember, KJ Simpson was the one who hit the game-winning shot in the NCAA tournament to beat the Florida Gators. So really good stuff. Great win tonight from the Nuggets, and we'll see if they keep moving forward. Oh, here's a good one. Did Jamal and Nate McKinnon have the same illness? Is that what kept McKinnon out tonight? I didn't see specifically why they held him out. There was a lot of speculation during the Olympics that there was something going on with Nathan McKinnon, that he didn't look quite right. And he didn't. I mean, I watched every Canada game. He didn't look quite like himself, but I didn't know if that was injury related, illness related. I don't know. But yeah, hopefully these guys get back and healthy as soon as possible. All right, everybody. Great win tonight for the Nuggets. That's going to do it for the post-game show. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back on Friday to react to Nuggets and Thunder. Boy, these games just keep getting bigger, and bigger as we get down to the final stretch. We're in the last quarter of the season. for the Denver Nuggets in the regular season as we march towards the playoffs. And hopefully the Nuggets can keep this momentum that they built up tonight. But we will talk to you on Friday to react to Oklahoma City and Denver. We'll see you then.